Okay, this has been so really impressive. Tapping into the global context, getting those experiences, and making it unique for Zambia. So now we're going to look ahead. Every organization's future is shaped by the vision of its leadership. So I want to hear what you see for IHM. What is your vision for IHM in the digital space in the next 5 to 10 years?
Interesting. Kind of similar to what you had asked me earlier about where we see ourselves now, and I had to provide a context that we are in uncertain times. Now, when you look forward, it's not really about the way aid is delivered anymore. I think now we are all clear it's changed. And so what kind of future are we seeing? First of all, the country itself is pushing a narrative around PPPs. The government is seeing the need for private actors to come on board. I also feel that the non-profit sector for the country just needs to revamp because the resources that were there previously are gone. And so we need to rethink the way we do this in that regard. From the technology side, when you look at where we are going, I think one of the things that has really also just caused a massive change is AI in that regard. We are seeing with every 2-3 months something amazing comes up, and we need to think about that in that regard. So when you ask me to say where do you see us in the next 5 to 10 years, first of all, let's acknowledge the context has changed. So this is going to be a space that really is going to see an increase in the number of private sector actors coming in. And the more you have of those types coming in, the mindset has to change. They don't operate like non-profits. They come in and say, we can give you what you want for this price. So are we ready for that as IHM? My short answer is yes, we are. First of all, IHM is a social enterprise. It's not really a not-for-profit in that regard. So it's very exciting to be part of that context. When you look at where the technology is headed, I've always argued that in the digital space, the two building blocks, connectivity and power, are critical. And I see us playing a huge role, for example, in the private 4G data network that we are setting up. And that kind of puts us in a space where we'll be interfacing with the kinds of solutions that require this connectivity to be brought into the space we're in. That's one. But also when you look at just this groundswell around what we are calling digital public infrastructure, our president is very clear. He believes technology is a powerful equalizer when it comes to development. He believes that technology will bring about the kinds of efficiencies that we are struggling with in so many ways in that regard. I mean, if you look at the impact of mobile money, for example, how it has made moving with money very easy and transacting. There's still a lot to be done in that regard. But the point is, we have a president that says we have to digitalize. And we have a country that has an e-government division in place that has also articulated that president's vision with clear milestones on what needs to happen when it comes to government services. So the interesting thing about Zambia is that you have a government that recognizes to say, at a minimum, our citizens must benefit from technology. So if you're in a rural area, are you able to access technology in terms of government services? Okay, that's really critical because we know the private sector will invest in areas that allow them to have a decent return. And so when you look at even the cellular networks, they're literally just in the urban areas. You go deep in the rural areas, there's nothing much there. So we have a government that is saying we are willing to invest in digital public infrastructure that will open up the space now for entrepreneurs to come on board and leverage this. being a close partner to Smart Zambia, being a key player in the health sector, therefore becomes very interesting for us, because we find ourselves in a space where we are required to contribute to that mandate that Smart Zambia has, which requires one not to come in with that entrepreneurial mindset, say I've got to make a decent return, but I have to contribute to the foundation that's going to be laid on in this context. But at the same time, then it begs of you to say, okay, if that's the case, what about your entrepreneurial ambitions? And that for me, literally the sky's the limit in terms of what things we can do. But what's going to be critical for IHM, which I must emphasize, is that partnerships are going to be very critical. We won't achieve as much as we are hoping. We will achieve something, but as much as we are hoping, we will need to partner. Already we're partnering with government in laying the foundation, but we need to partner both locally and internationally. Again, tapping into those contexts to bring the kinds of solutions we're looking in that regard. So 5 to 6 years from now, I literally see IHM as a key player in the digitalization of government services. One, I see IHM as a key player in bringing digital solutions for Zambia that will contribute to attaining the vision that the president has set. That vision about technology being an equalizer is not just for public services, but as well as for the private sector.
Okay, so I was actually going to come to that. You made reference to technology, but you also referenced partnerships being key to achieving some of these goals. So it's asked, beyond technology, what role will people and these partnerships play?
Beyond technology,
Yes.
what role
will people and partnerships play?
Okay. I'm not so sure about people per se, whether you are referring, the way I understand people is talent. So when you talk about people, it's talent. So what talent are we, what role will talent play? I think a huge role when you see where things are. My own experience, for example, of using AI, right? I have seen the biases inherent in AI in the sense that it's trained on data from the West or from high-income countries. It hasn't been trained on the data that we have. And so when I interact with the chatbots and I'm doing research, I have to kind of almost arm twist it, say, no, come back. We're in Africa. I see the responses you're giving me, they're not helping me. Do we have the talent that can help pull together the data that is needed to train these models? That's just an example I'm giving when you say, what is the role of people? So the role for me is that we need the talent that can allow the harnessing of these technologies for our benefit. Partnerships are really critical. I think when you look at what is ahead of us in terms of the opportunities, the biggest mistake we can make as IHM is to think, let's see these opportunities. There are people that tell me to say, you're so lucky as IHM, you have a close relationship with Smart Zambia. You're basically a winner take all. And I'm saying, no, that's not possible. You can only grow so fast, given the kind of context we're working in, when you look at the funding space, for example. And so the question becomes, can I recognize that these are the niche areas where I'm strong, and can I find other partners that can come in? And we're already doing that. So when you look at the work that we're doing around private 4G, for example, we partnered with Quadruple Play, a telecoms company, that was able to take our thinking even deeper than initially we had done. When you look at our foray into AI, we're working with Labofuse, a Dutch company that has impressive quals when it comes to AI. And so we recognize to say, to get the kind of talent that Labofuse has will take us a bit of time. But the problems won't wait for us to capacitate up to that level. And so those partnerships are critical for us to be able to see the kinds of wins that we would hope. So we definitely need talent. We definitely need partnerships. Mm-hmm.
That's great. So as we're wrapping up, I want to ask, how do you want IHM to be remembered or recognized in the years to come?
That question is kind of more appropriate, I think, for a person, because we know they'll die, and that's why they need to be remembered. And for me, my argument has always been IHM is bigger than one person. Much as I was part of the founding group, we were very clear that the idea of IHM was bigger than all of us. And so when you ask me that question, I kind of struggle with it, because in my mind, it should be in perpetuity to say IHM will persist into this entity, that entity. But perhaps let's ask the question differently. Instead of what will IHM be remembered for, I think the question for me would be what will IHM be known for at that particular time? Because there's that sense of the future going ahead. And I think for me, the one thing that I would like IHM to be known for at that time is an organization that opened up the space for others to come in, to find a stepping stone, and to grow as well. For me, IHM at that time will be an organization that other upstarts, if I can call them that, other mature organizations at that time can say, we worked with them. They opened the space for us. They gave us partnership opportunities to get to where we are today. Why do I see something like that? The challenges, when you combine the challenges and the opportunity, there's just a lot to be done. And the biggest mistake we can make is to think we're the only ones that can do that. So I would like people to be saying those kinds of things. And I think at that time, of course, when we now talk about that, if we bring it at a physical level, hopefully we would have passed on, and then we're in heaven looking down. I think that would fill me with so much pride.
Yeah, that's a powerful visionary statement right there.
Thank you.
If I can ask, if you could send one message to potential partners or collaborators listening right now, what would it be?
The cake is huge. The cake is huge. And we won't manage on our own. And we need them. We need them to come on board and work with us and make a difference. The funny thing about the cake is it's got this sense of eating, grabbing a slice. So yes, if you want to talk about a decent return, there's a lot. But rather think of it more in terms of the space to come and work and make a difference. It's huge. We won't be able to do it on our own. And so we need them to come on board. Just to give you a sense, we speak about smart care reaching a milestone of 50%. And our goal is to get it to 100% by next year, December. But that's more of coverage of health facilities. There's also coverage in terms of the types of care that you provide and the digitalization. And our argument has been, we've got the quals to show you how to scale the system. But there's still aspects like owning your data. We've got aspects like people have got smart watches that can link, that have apps that can link to their record, and then they can manage their own information. We're not even thinking about that. We're still trying to cover the remaining facilities. But that need exists now. Is there somebody who has developed an app that they can deploy on the App Store that would piggyback on the data warehouse, for example? Yes, they're there. Can they come and work with us? You're hearing the challenges that are there in the supply chain space, getting medications and understanding what's happening. Are there people that are already doing something that know to say, if we link with smart care, that would be a great solution? Come. The cake is huge. We need you. We need to make the lives of Zambians better digitally. And so for me, the door is open. We would love to collaborate.
So before we wrap up, I'd love to ask one last question. What continues to inspire you personally about leading IHM?
Interesting. I would have thought that I'd answered those questions earlier. But I think if there's one thing I can point to, and I can go back to the conversations that we had earlier, it's the people of IHM, the people that we fondly call IHMers, whether it's in Zambia, it's in Eswatini, it's in South Africa, it's in Lesotho. I think if there's the one thing that inspires me to lead, it's all of my colleagues at IHM. I say so because the work that we do is significant, and it couldn't have been achieved without colleagues stepping in and saying to themselves, they can do this. Every day I walk into the office, I hear laughter, I hear chatter, excited chatter, I hear deep conversations. And I recognize that this couldn't have been possible without painting an ambitious vision about changing the circumstances that we work in. This couldn't have been possible if that vision wasn't very clear, such that it compelled people to wake up and come into the office every day. And so recognizing that without these people wouldn't have been possible. So recognizing that there are these people that I needed to share a vision, that I needed to buy into, that's really what inspires me to lead IHM. Thank you.
Well, Kelvin, it's been a pleasure having you on the show and hearing the journey of IHM from your perspective. For our viewers, you can learn more about IHM and its work from our socials. Thank you for listening. And until next time, I am Signa, and this has been From Vision to Impact, the IHM Journey.